Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by this quarter's sponsor, Playground, the all-in-one childcare management software. We're all about managing monkeys and saving you time at your center. With this platform, you can. We're proud to partner with a team that's as committed to your success as we are. Learn more at tryplayground.com. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
Okay, guys, so today we have a guest that is kind of an icon, at least in my opinion, Red Grammer, who created an album that has been called by people who aren't me, other people in the world, the best children's music album ever. And that's an album called Teaching Peace. And if you don't have it at your center or your program, you should, because it has so many great songs and helps to get those wiggles out for those kids when they need to. There are songs that are great for marching and songs that are great for being silly. But that's just one of his many accomplishments. He's got lots of albums. He's got some Grammy nominations. And I think, didn't you win one?
No, it was a nomination.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so should we call you Red or Mr. Grammer?
Red for sure.
Okay. So I've seen Red a couple of times performing live, doing different kinds of music. So let's talk a little bit about how you went from being pre-med to a musician, and then why you went from doing folk music into children's music.
Yeah. So basically, I grew up in a family that didn't have any professional musicians in it, like most, right?
Right.
And so growing up with music being a big part of my life, the center of my life, it never occurred to me that you could do that for work.
And you mean enjoy what wait. You mean enjoy what you're doing?
Yes.
And get paid for it. I'm just trying to make sure that that's really what you're trying to say, right? Okay.
Exactly. And for all the early childhood people, you know what I'm talking about, where you follow your heart and the rest of the world may not appreciate or understand or value it the way you do. But that was kind of a situation where I just didn't have any context for being a musician as an adult. So I just grew up loving music. It was everything about me, but I kind of said, okay, well, when I grow up, I'll be a doctor because they help people.
Yeah.
Right. And so at the last minute, I was supposed to go to Rutgers University, New Jersey. It has a good pre-med program. I was accepted. I went to Rutgers, but changed to a music major at the last minute, and no one was surprised.
Except you, probably.
Except me. And of course, I was totally unprepared. I was not fluent on the piano. Anyway, you don't have to go through that whole 9 yards. But so it was a cover, I guess. It was a safe zone of what I thought I might be as an adult. And then I ended up in the real world of music and was a singer-songwriter. Sort of saw myself being an adult performer, maybe Kenny Loggins, Dan Fogelberg, for people who
right
know that era, and pursued that, and then got involved with an old folk, a very famous old folk group. They were my parents' age, the Limelighters, and they needed a replacement for their lead singer, Glenn Yarborough, and so that was a wonderful opportunity. I took it. At the same time, Kathy and I were starting a family, my late wife Kathy and I, and we had our 2 boys, and we were writing songs around the house for them, and there wasn't enough money. So she said, well, why don't we make a little cassette of the songs we're writing for Dave and Andy? And so I said, okay. So we wrote some more, and we did a little cassette, and I would sell it at the Limelighter gigs. And then Teaching Peace happened, which was really inspired by a wonderful statement called The Promise of World Peace. And we just went through and looked at the at the various
elements of that.
points of that and tried to write songs about them that were fun and interesting. And so Teaching Peace happened, and that shifted everything. And I found myself exactly where I should be with music.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can definitely say that that was a bit of divine inspiration.
Yes.
I want to give people who are, younger than us a little bit of a framework that might work for people as far as you stepping into the Limelighters. So there was this other band called Queen, and they had a famous lead singer, and he wasn't around anymore. And so a guy named Adam Lambert came in and stepped in. So it's kind of like that, to give a little bit more recent.
In the folk world, yes.
But it is, I mean, it's that same type of thing. They needed somebody with a specific vocal quality that you had.
Yes. And actually, I remember we did a Showtime special, and they had me in the audience, sitting at a table with audience members, and people at the table said, well, what are you here for? And I said, well, I replaced Glenn Yarbo and the Limelighters, and the table goes silent, and one of the guys looks over and says, I hope you're good. So there was that replacement thing. And then afterwards, he actually fought his way past security and everything so he could come to me and say, you were fabulous. I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't embarrass you or whatever, But anyway, so that's a whole, But we found children's music, which for me is perfect because I'm actually a very earnest and a very silly person.
Yeah.
Which is a funny combination, which I think you'll find in a lot of early childhood people.
Yeah. It definitely comes across when you see you performing live.
Right.
The silly definitely comes through.
The silly comes through, and the earnest. And as an adult performer, it's a little hard to find that space. I'm sure there's a way, but for me, doing family music has been, a real gift to me. So.
And you're able to teach your values through music, and values that most people hope that kids have.
Yes, yes. And hopefully in a way that feels completely natural.
Absolutely.
These are not overlays. That's the one thing Kathy and I always really tried to do, and I, continue to try and do after her passing, but, is these are not something you impose. These are natural attributes that just need to be nurtured, choices that we have. And so if you make it feel like this is what we do, this is just how we are. We care. We're thoughtful. We look out for each other. We're careful with the words we use. We want things to work out for everybody. That's just how we are. And so if you write songs that are fun and interesting and delightful, then it helps create that, or it helps nurture and sustain that kind of environment when there's a lot of other forces in the world, of course, that we're all dealing with that aren't that.
Yeah. So over the years, how have you seen teachers use your music to reinforce character education in the classroom? And how did you guys do it with your boys? One of whom kind of picked up a guitar later on also.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that people have found very valuable about our music is that there are a number of songs that just give you a one line that becomes a kind of a touch point. So like the song Use a Word, it's all about using words instead of fists or, whatever. And it's the chorus, it's the last line of the chorus, use a word. And so once you know the whole song, and the kids all know the whole song, and it's got little jokes in it and everything, then when something's happening, you just say, use a word, right? And that's a one-line thing. Or shake your brain, when somebody's got a problem, they're confused, they don't know how to have an answer, and it's frustrating, right? Well, shake your brains, figure it out. There's no need to scream or shout. You got to work that thing you've got upstairs. You got to activate what's under your hair, and then you just say, shake your brain, so I think those have been really helpful. And then just the nature of music and words that are constructed to support the best in us. I have a little video, I can't show it to you right now, but I see it all the time, but I actually have a video of it happening where I'm singing I Think You're Wonderful.
Oh, I love that song.
Kindergartners just we were on stage, and they're singing it with me. And this one, it's actually in Macau where this happens. And this one little boy goes over and puts his arm around the other boy. And they're just standing there like that. So when you have a song that just, it's the mystery of the power of music. I mean, why do children sitting in a circle when I sing I Think You're Wonderful put their arms around each other? The words are nice. The lyric is sweet. I mean, the music is sweet. It has but something magical happens where they just are impelled to do that. And that's why I actually do a whole workshop called Music, Every Teacher's Best Friend.
All right. I am so glad that you said that, because I have a question for you.
Yes.
So the majority of the people who listen to our podcast are actually the directors. And I have actually been in childcare centers recently that have almost no music. And it breaks my heart. And, how would a director who maybe understands conceptually the importance of music, what is a way that maybe they can bring it to either their ownership, their administration, even maybe their teachers, to kind of get them on board, even if it's just for certain times of the day, other than using it as transition, like giving it a purpose other than it's our transition tool?
Yeah. And, I mean, I talk to the directors at times. I always talk to the teachers. I say, your classroom is your garden, And so the first thing that a director can do is support teachers who want to use music and not stick your head in. Actually, for early childhood, I'm surprised that anybody would do that, because it would seem like such a natural element of what we're doing.
I think
first of all, I'm sorry.
I think they're trying to keep out objectionable lyrics from the classroom.
Oh, interesting.
And they're like, you can't have music because I don't want to have to be paying attention to your playlist.
Yeah, well, of course, then the first thing you could do is create a library for your teachers to become, comfortable with. And by the way, there's room for teachers choosing music that speaks to their need, hopefully appropriate music. But because we find ourselves get out of our zone, and sometimes we have music that really helps us line up, whatever that is. And so it's okay to show kids that you have a way to handle that, to manage that. But that's a whole other thing. First, having music that is age appropriate and that supports the kind of environment of caring and loving and thoughtfulness that you want to have in your classroom. And there's plenty of it. I mean, I'm not the only person doing it. I like to think, mine is especially wonderful. But, there are other artists, and there's diverse music now that does it.
Yeah, because for a while it was like you and the guy who did Willoughby Wallaby Woo.
Yeah.
And then Ella Jenkins, and it was pretty much
Tom
like
Chapin, but now you've got a lot of diversity that's doing really wonderful stuff for kids. It's got more juice in terms of, the track may be way more intense than, I would do, but the lyrics are wonderful, so there's a lot of diversity out there. But the first thing I would do, I mean, honestly, Kate, I can't imagine a program without music.
Well, but there are, we've been to actually several programs that, because they're so focused on the academics, the only time you hear the music is actually during transition.
Yes.
And that's what they view it as a tool instead of anything else. Like, it's just to help move the kids from point A to point B. And when I asked the last program, the response I got was, it's not in our curriculum. And I was like, so it has to be in the like in this particular program, the teachers felt very confined to their curriculum, and so did the directors. And so that's why I asked you the question the way I did, because I know that, and what we can include in the show notes, if Carrie reminds me, to make sure that we get some from both you and Carrie, but some resources that actually, can support, the research on it, because we know it exists, right? That the whole research on, music and the arts in general, right? Because that's why we fight it at every age level academically. So, You know,
Yeah.
having the director be able to have a tool that if they have teachers who want it, I love the idea of supporting the teachers. That's obviously, I should say that. It should be obvious, and it's obvious to us, but it's probably not necessarily obvious to the directors who don't know how to support a teacher who wants to do something that might be contradictory to their
Or might
maybe
be
their
additive.
franchise.
Uh,
Or it
uh,
might be additive. It might be them adding something else to what the franchise or the school district or whatever says we're doing. You can do what they say, and you can also be playing use a word in the background as the kids are. You know that this is a time of day when kids get kind of grumpy because it's right before snack time and
Right.
kids are getting grumpy, and
Right.
playing you use a word in the background maybe help to prime them that this is when we're going to need to use those words.
There's another thing that music does, and let's say this might be something that actually speaks to a person who doesn't necessarily understand the value of music, is what it can do to make a connection between the parents and the school. So, for
Yeah.
example, the song "See Me Beautiful." If you take pictures of all the kids in the class and create a PowerPoint with that song playing in the background, should I be playing little pieces of these songs for people so that they understand what I'm talking about? Let me just do a verse of it.
Absolutely. I will always take you
Okay. And
singing.
you can edit
Always.
whatever you want, but if you have this playing in the background and you see the kids, pictures of the kids in an open house, see me beautiful, look for the best in me. It's what I really am and all I want to be. It may take some time, it may be hard to find, but see me beautiful. See me beautiful each and every day. Could you take a chance? Could you find a way to see me shining through in everything I do and see me beautiful? So if you have the images of the kids while that's going by, it creates a connection for the parents with the school, and they see that you see their children in a deeper way than just teaching them, the beginnings of math and language and all those things, which are very, important in their place. So, and there's lots of other songs. I've had little kids learn. I did it on the Today Show with the Today Show's the producer's son.
Kid?
Come on, he was 4, and he sang this with me. I think you're A1 grade A, beloved and beautiful, capable, caring, delightful, dependable, enjoyable, excellent, fascinating, fabulous, a gift, a gem, genuinely generous, honest, high grade, impressive, and interesting, a jewel, a jackpot, kind-hearted, and a king, laudable, likable, marvelous, magnificent, naturally nice. And and on and on. So, these kind of songs, well, I mean, I must say, maybe I shouldn't say, for those people that are really having to deal with a program where they really want academics for preschool children to be like the main thing.
I think even in those programs, they want connection to be
Yes.
the main thing, because kids can't learn without connections. You've got
Exactly.
to have connections so that the kids can learn, whether you're doing it through a play-based program or whether through an academic program. You've
Yes.
got to have the connection first.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a good, because for me, that age is first about relationships and trust and open-heartedness and learning how to be with other people. And of course, it's easy to do the letters and the numbers and the kindergarten readiness and all of that. But sometimes I do think, just in general, we are sacrificing a lot of what the first stuff that we need to learn, because we're afraid that our kids are going to fall behind or something, which all the studies show that's not true either. So anyway.
Okay, so I
Totally
just have,
agree with you.
now, I have 2 more questions in my notes. I don't usually take notes, so I was so excited to talk to you. I have to have notes.
Yes.
So you get invited to a lot of educational conferences, right?
Yes.
So, what are you noticing right now the teachers, the directors, the educators are really hungry for in those sessions with you?
Um, well, for in the classroom, um, you know, I don't think it's changed that much. They want to know how to, well, you know, there's a couple ways to say it. They want to know how to reach every child.
Mhm.
And depending on where you are, it can be a very diverse classroom, or they can be very diverse from where you are coming from, you know. Um, so, but and of course, you know, how to create that environment where everybody's can learn. You know, the kids are coming in pumped up with a lot of, you know, the entertainment for kids is generally pretty intense and crazy and yeah. Hmm. It's a good question. Um, yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good answer. They're looking for how to connect to all those kids, the kids who have more needs or different
Yes.
needs than you were expecting and come from a different background. I mean, even just because they're 20, 30 years younger than you, they come from a different background.
Yes. Yeah. And gosh, has the world changed?
A little bit.
Woo!
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy moly. Can I just want to say something to, because you said this is mostly for directors.
Correct.
Yep.
I do want to say this to them and also about their teachers. That ultimately for me, these are heroic positions because most of the world doesn't get what we're doing with little children. It's
Mhm.
really soul work of the profoundest type. You know, trying to see what a child, who a child is, what their needs are, what were they meant to become. Not that we can see all that when they're that little, but nurturing that, supporting that. Um, that's powerful, powerful work. And most of the world doesn't see it, but those working in it, we need to support them in that work. Yeah. Anyway, I just needed to say that.
I mean, we couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We couldn't agree more. So now it feels like a little bit weird to take the next question, but I'm going there anyway.
Okay.
What are the things that you're the most proud of right now?
um, can I say two things?
I said things. So you can, as
Okay.
long as, you can say a couple of things.
Okay.
A few
First
things.
of all, that it just has been is so confirming even now that all of this work that I've done all these years has been used so magnificently by so many teachers to do the work that it was intended to do, which is to support the best in children and help them feel that doing the right thing is the natural thing to do because that's who we are, right? So to know that that work, and that comes in the form of adults coming up to me and saying, you were in my, you know, my life when I was a little, or my child right now, you know, those kind of things. And then this new album, I'm so proud of these songs on this album. It's called Hooray for the World is on Teaching Peace. We did
Mhm.
an updated version. All the other songs are new. It just seemed like the perfect title for an album
Oh,
about connecting with the, you know, the natural world. And they're fun, delightful songs. It's yeah, it was an accomplishment, and they're clever and fun, and kids love the songs. So I'm just really proud of that, which was just released in January. So that's a brand new thing.
All right,
Uh,
so Carrie, real quick, how did you find Red? And I know you have your own connection, but as a director, I'm going to put you on the spot. As a director, or when you were an owner, why was this something that was in your playbook that you thought was something that needed to be part of curriculum, not just transition material?
because kids need opportunity to see that adults have joy too,
mm,
if nothing else. A lot of times kids see adults as these very stodgy, stiff kind of people. And it's really hard to be that stodgy, stiff kind of person when you're marching around the classroom singing teaching piece or trying to, you have a part in Hello World that's very fast. and watching people try to do that. Or I think there's another one that also has, you sang it earlier, the one about
the ABCs of You.
Yeah,
yeah,
ABC's You.
that one also has some really fast parts. And so part of the reason I think it's important is for my teachers to have fun and be joyous and silly in the classroom, and for the kids to be able to do that as well. If the only music you're listening to is Disney Kid Bop in a classroom, then you're limiting it to things that they already have a picture in their head about. But these are songs that they don't already have a picture. They get to put themselves in the music. They get to put their classmates in the music. It helps to get wiggles out, because there are times in the day when it's not time for physical activity, but the children's bodies say it's time for physical activity. And if their bodies say it is, then we need to be able to like go to a playlist or go to a CD. I know CDs are old fashioned, but guys, they work because you can always find the right song. It's more than a tape deck or a record player or even a playlist, because sometimes you think you're going to the playlist and somebody else has the same title of a song and it means something totally different. So, I'm a fan of still having some CDs and a CD player in the classroom, because when the kids' bodies say it's time to move, even though your lesson plan does not, you've got to have some of these songs that you can just put in, and kids learn things differently through rhythmic language than they do through standard language. Yes. And songs, by their very nature, are rhythmic language. So that's why we used to do, poems and nursery rhymes and songs so much, and kids had a bigger vocabulary because they were hearing rhythmic language more. Yes. So if you want kids to have a big vocabulary, put on some great children's music, yes, and the kids are going to learn more language. So I think that was about 5 reasons.
Well, I appreciate all of the reasons. And in today's show notes, we'll have links to Red's new album, but also his old albums, because Carrie's definitely going to want some of those classics in there. Yes, and course. Other ways where you can get a hold of Red for any upcoming conferences that you might have, staff development, all of that kind of information will be in today's show notes. And if you have not already subscribed to our podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, maybe even leave a review. And with that, we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Child Care Conversations.